June 29th, 1941. With the loss of Pskov, Vitebsk, Mogilev, with the spearheads of the 3rd Panzer Group battling around the outskirts of Smolensk, and with the reserves sent by the Stavka to protect the land bridge between the Dwina and the Dnieper rivers, either routed or encircled, it is fair to say that the northwestern and the western fronts have collapsed for a second time in just 2 weeks. Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the second episode of this War in the East 2 PBEM campaign. As I said in the introduction, the situation is pretty bad. I have plenty of bad news. Yes, because the Germans took Pskov. They took quite a big chunk of land, I must say, over here. Most likely my opponent wanted to screen his right flank over here with some mobile units, because I really doubt he had the infantry, the temporarily motorized infantry, to screen all of his flanks over here. Yes, he took Vitebsk. Was there? Yeah, I mean, retreated and routed. So I mean, that's And he took Mogilev as well. I think exactly just the 46th Rifle Division got retreated. And yes, he crossed the Dnieper, and he encircled this bunch of troops over here. Now the majority of these troops will be disbanded anyway. Will be disbanded anyway. Besides, I think the 109th Mechanized Division and the 53rd Armored Division. So yeah, and again, what I really like about this encirclement is that he now completely sealed the all of the flanks of this pocket over here. Besides that, let's have a quick look at the losses, because also when I had a look at the turn summary, I was a bit impressed by this number over here, because okay, I've lost overall 300,000 men, and despite having received almost 40,000 men, the overall net variation was minus 22,000 men on the map. And okay, that the 2 rifle divisions were sent to the reserve theater box, so I can estimate, like, I don't know, 25,000 men going to the reserve theater box. But still, like, this is, I think, the first time I've seen this negative summary of manpower on the map overall. And besides this, if we have a look at the more detailed losses, okay, I've lost 300,000 men. The Axis only almost 13,000 men, for a total of 25,000 versus 930,000 men, and only 80 AFVs last turn. So he's doing pretty well, I must say. In the air, despite having the Air Force on resting mode, I lost 1 fighter bomber and 1 level bomber, and 2 planes were lost on the ground. Can I see which one were lost on the ground? No, I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. I mean, I lost 1 Yak-1, 1 I-153, 1 SB-2. Okay, I thought I've lost some LI-2, but no. Okay, well, fair enough. And he lost 18 recon planes, because yes, he did launch quite a number of recon missions. I guess he wanted to spot which units were still in this pocket here, as well as in these pockets here, as well, of course, to scout the areas around the land bridge and over here, as well as besides some recon missions down south in Ukraine. Yes, event-wise, there are quite a few events this week. Continuation War, the Wolf's Lair, the Executive Order 8802, we have the fall of Minsk, the fall of Riga, the fall of Lviv, we have the Soviet IP removal. That's why I only have 1 IP here. The Border Guards joined the Red Army, and Stalin demands to hold Kiev, even though I don't think I will manage to hold Kiev until October. The crusade against Bolshevism with all this insane Bonai to the Axis, and the rush for Odessa. And so, because the situation is quite critical, to make things even worse for me, the fact that now he stationed 2 units close and adjacent to Smolensk means that I cannot use Smolensk to deploy, to unload my troops via railway convoys, which is pretty bad, because I was counting on using Smolensk as a final destination hub, but now I have to use Vyazma and Bryansk, and that's it. Vyazma and Bryansk, which is gonna suck quite a bit, to be honest. And anyway, I will try to fortify Smolensk for as much as possible and with as many troops as possible. Meanwhile, over here, the idea is now to pull back into Tallinn with these rifle divisions, and as well as with the NKVD motorized rifle divisions, this one here, the 22nd and the 21st, and I will slowly pull back towards the Luga line. It's far from being ready. I only have level 1 fortifications, but luckily I do have some reinforcements coming, and the idea is to fortify the what I call the Solsti salient over here, and then establish a defensive line along this swampy area here, before curving southwards towards Veliki Luki, bunker and dig in around Veliki Luki, and then use this woody and river terrain to establish a new defensive line. And then I will defend Smolensk, and then defend the line behind this Soch river over here, and I might abandon Khrushchev, and then I will just defend behind the Besed river, this swampy area over here. I will defend Gomel, and then defend the Dnieper over here. As I said, the inability to use Smolensk is pretty much upsetting all of my plans. So let's see what I can do this week. But yeah, without further ado, folks, let's jump straight into this episode. Alright, folks, so I wanted to say a few words about what I did with the troops trapped inside the I call it the Orsha Mogilev pocket, because when I was playing as the Soviets against the Axis AI, my strategy to defend pockets was to concentrate all of my troops into specific hexes, namely swampy hexes in top priority, in second priority heavy woods or urban hexes, and in third position the light wood or city hexes, because I thought I believed that the AI in this way had to sacrifice a considerable amount of troops and firepower to dislodge my units from these easily defendable hexes. And in this case, against a human opponent, I wanted to try something different. I don't know how much it will slow him down, but as you have seen, I have spread my units in every direction because I wanted to convert as many enemy hexes as I possibly could, just to force my opponent to invest and sacrifice more movement points of specific units to just reconvert those hexes into his, and yeah, also battle and defeat my units trapped inside the pocket. And besides this shuffling of the units outside of the pocket, the situation of the northwestern end of the western fronts looked pretty bad. I had virtually no units. Some units were running low of movement points, and that's why I concentrated those 2 HQs and this that tank division. I forgot already its number, between Lake Pipus and Lake Selger, I think they are. And my idea was just to hopefully evacuate them next week, and hoping that my opponent would not notice the presence of these vulnerable units in those hexes. And besides setting up the sold the Staraya Russa salient, I also reorganized a little bit the defenses of the Western Front, with the idea of holding the line between Staraya Russa and Veliki Luki, holding a defense behind the Lovat and the other river in this swampy terrain, and at the same time to unload the reserves of the Stavka destined to the Western Front, either in Vyazma or between Vyazma and Smolensk, because, as I said, the loss of Smolensk, I mean the loss of Smolensk, the presence of enemy units in the hexes adjacent to Smolensk was, I must say, really a big blow. I was not expecting that, and also I didn't know that when you have an enemy unit stationed next to a urban hex or any hex with a railiard above size 2, you cannot use it to unload your units, which kind of makes sense. That mimics that. Even though I believe that the Red Army did that in real life. In game, you cannot just unload units next to an enemy one, and yeah, again, this was really pissing me off. This really upset my mood and my plans, so to speak. And well, besides that, there was nothing too exciting happening along the Western Front besides retreating with my units and moving forward the reserves coming in from Moscow and released from the Stavka. And one thing that I never mentioned before was that whenever I see units that arrive on the map, and that because of the freight consumption and freight transport limitations, they are still unready during the ground movement phase, my idea is always to move them close to Moscow, because in Moscow there is a national supply source, and by setting them on refit, they will gain the highest priority in terms of receiving replacements and freight, and hoping that those units will be almost at full strength. In the next turn, I will move them to the front line. Also, I don't know if I did it this week, but for sure I'm planning to do it in the upcoming weeks. I might not send everyone by rail, but I might just simply move units, say, on foot, on tracks, and on wheels, because I don't want to clog the railways by sending everyone via railway convoys, and therefore, let's say, jamming my supply lines, my railway-borne supply lines, in the upcoming turns. And with this, folks, I'm at the end of this brief chat. As always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Don't leave, because there is a second episode coming up today. And well, as always, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you again next week.